This is Don LL in the picture. This is part 3 of my journey from the Netherlands to the UK. This was the vehicle I drove in this journey. It is a Hammer-like SUV made by Fiat Chrysler with a 1.6 liters engine, 6 gears, and it runs on diesel. I was in Rotterdam city. Here is the route of my journey, which started some 20 kilometers northwest of Rotterdam, where Delft city lies. Coming from the Netherlands, I expected to have used this route from Belgium entering France. This is the A16 or A40, but it was closed, so I had to take an alternative route through Belgium to reach my destination, Loon Plage in Dunkerque, where the Ferry Terminal is. My ferry was expected to have departed Dunkerque for Dover at 4 p.m. Because of the strike and route deviations, I couldn't make it to the Ferry Terminal in time. I got lost using the navigator through the alternative routes, but in the end common sense prevailed and I had to rely on the road signs to get to the ferry terminal. The footage you have been seeing is where I ended in the last video, and it was when I was entering the terminal area where there are groups of lights. Somewhere not far from that white lorry in front is the roundabout I was talking about. Here I freaked the place right before the roundabout where the lorries were. Let me show you this. Here what you see are cones used to close one lane of this road I'm on. The side I'm using is open while the other one coming from the roundabout is closed. Here I'm approaching the roundabout and you see the boats in the background. That's where the entrance is after turning on the roundabout. But the cars are not turning on the roundabout, they're going right from the roundabout. Why? I'll tell you why. There with the red circle, you see blocks and cones. They've been used to close the roundabout. No entry thus. This is the front view camera again. The time is 20:04 UK time, which is 21:04 Central European time. I kept on following the lorries until they slowed down somewhere on this road. Here I was wondering, where are we going and where are the personal vehicles? I know inside there are separate lanes for lorries and small vehicles, but why here? Where are the other cars?
Oh man, this thing is counting.
You can imagine what I was going through. The ferry departs at the hour mark. This means the last one left 5 minutes ago. I would therefore have to wait another hour for the next one.
Annoying, man.
At this point, I was wondering, when will I check in? Will I make it with the next ferry, which is at 10 o'clock? Presumably. This is the rear view camera once again. Behind me is not a lorry, but what looks like a van.
What is that, man? The next ferry is gonna go.
I couldn't jump the queue. Here I thought of maybe going back and checking things out there. How to get about the roundabout, or somewhere at the start there has to be a way in. Engine off at last, since stopping in the bushes when I was lost. A couple of minutes later, the queue picked up and we turned into the bushes. Right here, with this smaller road. It then occurred to me that there has to be another road inside. That's why the vehicles are going there. Engine off again, and then I made my decision. I had to go back to the roundabout and check things out there. I thought something wasn't right with no smaller vehicles other than mine inside, so I wanted to get to where there is a queue with smaller vehicles, although it is possible to come off this lorry queue once inside. Oh my lord, look at the number of vehicles still coming. Was I making the right decision? I suppose some of these trucks did use the alternative route I took from Belgium. The roundabout isn't really that far from where the queue had stopped. It could be anywhere from between 600 to 900 meters. Gladly, it looks like the number has dwindled. Here I'm coming off the side road and getting back to the main road that leads to the roundabout. More are arriving. Ho ho. there are lights is where the check-in area is, close to the roundabout I had passed by earlier. There's the sign, the roundabout. It looks like the cars are coming from the bushes where I've been, and getting to this place. Look, it has been closed. You see the barriers all over the place. In the past, you could just drive in where the barriers are and enter, and I could just drive to where the smaller vehicles, the gates for smaller vehicles are. These two vehicles there with guards, I suppose. I thought they could be police, and I didn't wanna drive there because I thought I would be in trouble, considering what happened on the highway with that angry police. I better not push my luck. In some countries it's dangerous driving through barriers. There is a lorry driver with a roll down window not far from me.
Excuse me, do I have to go there? Not here. Here. Oh.
He pointed to where I'd come from, a lorry queue. My lord, my troubles aren't over yet. As the saying goes, back to square one again. Here's the rear view camera showing the time when I arrived at the roundabout before speaking to the driver. This is just to get a glimpse of the whole situation considered from different angles. Here you see the barriers starting from the edge of the road.
Do I have to go there? Not here. Here. Oh.
Back to the back of the queue once again. This is another lorry. Here we're about to get back to the side road in the bushes to the left. From my understanding, all this chaos is meant to happen once Brexit happens. That's the way of these customs guys in raising awareness about their situation.
This is crazy. Keep moving. Hey, walk over there.
That was Dutch for wake up. It was a Netherlands vehicle in front of me. It's now 21:35. I left the Netherlands at about 12:20 noon time. Oh my lord. I should have been in the UK already, sleeping in bed, not here in the car, with the fate of my journey thrown in limbo, somewhere in the bushes of this Dunkirk town. You have seen that Dunkirk movie from the Second World War? This is the place, stretching from here to the main town itself. This was a war zone. It was a deadly war zone. As I waited here, I had a chance to look at the coordinates of my position compared to the one I had been given. This was what I was given. It's 51 degrees north, 0 minutes, 85 seconds. 2 degrees east, 11 minutes and 86 seconds. Let's now look at my position, which should be 2 to 4 minutes from the check-in area. With this one, the longitude is 51 degrees north, 28 minutes and 73 seconds. The latitude is 2 degrees east, 23 minutes and about 18 seconds. As the queue moves on towards the checking area, it changes, but it's in no way closer to what I was given. See, there's obviously a notable difference here. Bottom right on the camera screen, you can also see the coordinates of my position. Pitch black, perfect black. There's no moonlight. What if there were wolves lurking in the bushes, like foxes in the UK? Someone could have been hurt. I did see some of the lorry drivers walking around their vehicles with torches or flashlights, ensuring that everything was in order. About wolves, they have been sighted elsewhere in Europe, as reported by some newspapers. Here I'm about to join a road that goes left and straight to the check-in area. We could be up to a mile away from that check-in area. It's almost 10 o'clock, so I've been in the queue for almost an hour now. The police had come there, checking all the vehicles with their torches as they walked past. Half an hour later, I would join that lorry in entering that road that goes straight to the check-in area. You see, it has been an hour and a half since my arrival to this terminal place. An hour and a half, and the light still hasn't appeared at the end of the tunnel. Those lorries are parked there for some reason. The time hasn't come, perhaps, and the drivers could be resting. There, the lights are showing again. That's the light at the end of the tunnel. It's almost there.
Diesel consuming.
From 3 hours driving across the Netherlands and Belgium, then 2 hours on the highway between Belgium and France, and another 2 or 3 hours from Belgium to this place, and still waiting, and it keeps going on. What a day. All these lorries carry supplies bound for the UK market. Is that how it is gonna be when Brexit comes? Imagine the implications on the prices of food or any other items imported from Europe. This road here goes back to that roundabout at the start of the check-in area.
It's terrible.
You heard it, that's the experience. My last journey, more than 2 years ago, was nothing compared to this. It was 3 hours of driving on the highway straight to the terminal. No incidents. I boarded my ferry and I was on the UK soil. After the 2 hours crossing, that's here at Dunkirk. At Calais, it takes about 1.5 hours to cross. Using the train or shuttle is even better. 35 or 40 minutes, I believe. The longest route is from Harwich near Newcastle to Amsterdam, said to be 4 hours. There is some movement in the foreground. Good news. Is that what lorry drivers occasionally experience? That's tough. They come from all over Europe, and these ones they are heading to the UK. The famous roundabout is almost inside.
This is the place. Man, I'm around about and going only. It's today.
At last, I've arrived at the closed roundabout. This was where I came earlier. That is left from this road, behind the barriers. Another waiting round. It's just not gonna be up. But I'm glad I've reached the roundabout. I did join the queue at about 5 minutes past 9. It's now almost 11:30, so I've been in the queue for about 2 hours and a half now. The two white vehicles with guards blocking the road next to this one I'm on right now are gone. It's more than 10 hours instead of the usual 3 hours. No signboards for smaller cars. That road to the left would take me to where small cars are, but it's closed. Another 20 minutes later, I'm still here.
Oh. Sleeping.
Sure was asleep. They're all humans behind the wheels, so you can't blame him. In this situation, the ferry could be departing every 2 hours, but at the hour mark, with the check-in area just about 2 minutes away and 15 minutes remaining for the next hour mark, you could understand my frustrations here.
This small cars.
That white vehicle must be from the 2 security guys, I suppose, who were standing there, closing the road, blocking it from entry, I think. And then, a few minutes later, midnight had arrived. The time on screen is 5 minutes past 23 hours. That's the UK GMT time, just an hour behind CET time. Apologies for repeating that so many times. If you remember the time I had arrived at this terminal, it was 5 minutes past 9 p.m. Now, 5 minutes past 12 p.m. That's exactly 3 hours. 3 hours, for God's sake. Who in this world has so much patience like this? The French customs have made their point clear after the Brexit. If some things are not in place, this is what's gonna happen, I would suppose. That fence must be new. There wasn't any fence here in the past. There's a yellow information board somewhere ahead. When that vehicle in front of me moved out, what I've been waiting for became visible suddenly. But look at the barriers again. And then watch this vehicle behind me. The driver was signaling about the exit with those cones and barriers. It's a left-hand drive vehicle with the driver's window close to mine. He was down and he spoke to me, indicating I use the exit. It's been sometimes in situations like this, you just ignore all the barriers or rules. Yes, at last, I've exited the queue. Let's quickly view the moment I got out of the queue using the front view camera. Then proceed from there. Look at that yellow board. It clearly indicates what type of vehicle and where it should be. But how about the barriers? It creates doubts. You don't want to offend the security there. I could have just driven through, but I could have been in trouble. And that was the moment the lorry behind me came closer. I must thank that understanding driver. For sure, he has experience with what goes around here. It isn't even the full road here. It's just this part with markings. Look. The check-in gates are visible now. I did use these in the past. These gates are for personal vehicles and other vehicles like the Euroline buses and anything that's not a truck. The lorry section you can see is to the right. It's just a few meters away with the fence. As I said, there wasn't any fence in the past. This is the check-in area. At last, I've arrived. And it's now 23:16, which is 16 minutes past 11 p.m. GMT time, which is the same as 16 minutes past 12 midnight Central European time. I had left the Netherlands at 12 noon time, That is thus 12 hours on the way. Can you imagine that? Unbelievable. I will be needing some proper rest. It's 2 hours crossing, so I will need to make good use of it, because after the crossing, once I'm in Dover, I'll need another 3 hours to reach home. London is just a little more than an hour from the Dover port. I live beyond that, beyond London. If I fail to take rest and anything were to happen after that, I'll be subjected to the so-called Magis law. I think it's American. If you don't know what it is, I think you should go and check Google. But let me just say this. If a fatigued driver were to be involved in an accident, they will be liable for any harm or any death that results. Margie, short form for Madeline, was a victim of a tired driver in the US in the late 90s. You would need to check to what extent the law applies in Europe or in the UK. Sure, there is a law against tired drivers when they are the cause of an accident. Most of the roads I had used on this journey had messages on signboards telling drivers to take a rest. At last, it's my turn now. Normally, they operate two windows for left and right-hand drive vehicles, but today is a different case. They need the electronic ticket and my passport. After a few minutes, it was done and I was given the green light to proceed. Listen to my complaints. My ticket wasn't valid anymore and I had to pay 129 euros for the crossing. Yes, you heard me, I was charged again, with a price higher than the original.
Passport?
I had a little discussion with the individual at the desk, complaining that they should be keeping an eye on the news because something's happening out there and they should know about it. They had said that without making any payments, I wouldn't be allowed to cross. It was such a disappointment that I didn't consider all that was happening on the way. That's the French customs or French police. All papers in order. They do have a 72-hour crossing ticket. The one I had was a 24-hour ticket, meaning it's valid on the day and time written on it only. There's another booth several meters away from the first one. This time it's the British UK border passport control. This is the switch to the rear view camera. There seem to be no personal vehicles inside today, other than mine and the other two I saw earlier. Again, only one window is operational, which is on the wrong side. Here, I was done with the second passport control, all clear. From here, I have to follow the arrows and to the left, you see where there's grass, I've got to go behind that grass. You see that truck in the distance? That's where what looks like a parking lot for boarding the ferry is. I should go there. It's still so early. The ferry leaves at 2. It's an hour and a half away. That's yet another waiting round. Don't tell me about your frustrations waiting for something for an hour. I've done it over and over again today. You just have to be ready for it. Before proceeding to my assigned waiting lane, I've got to get an all clear from the security. This is the section. This is where they check the vehicles. How will it be with the strike in place? Check it out. I could see they are understaffed here. There are more lorries than personal vehicles. I can't cross those white lines without permission.
No.
They have been waved through. Look at these, more barriers. I had to guess here where to go, where the lorries are or another lane. That's the right choice, I suppose.
What the heck? Rip off, man.
I'm approaching my lane.
Seven
7 o'clock CET or 6 a.m. GMT. That will be my arrival time at home in the UK. That's after the 2 hours crossing. At long last, the terminal building is there. I could use the toilet once again and grab some food. Not from there, but from my bag. You can see that the moment I arrived at the lane, there were no cars yet behind me. That's the terminal building with toilets, sitting places, as in a restaurant, and vending machines serving the usual suspects: chocolates, crisps, and drinks. Not so much difference with what I had in the car. Remember, I had this bar of chocolate, a bottle of water, and what was left from my outward journey, this can of Fanta and some panini crackers. That's an Italian type of olive bread. As I conclude part 3 of this journey, there's something I wish to point out. It's from the moment I arrived the terminal. If you see on this screenshot, you've got these boards. They indicate where the vehicles should be. On the right is the lorries, and on the left is anything that's not a lorry, personal vehicles, buses, and so on. So they expect you to change lane from here, but considering that this is a right-hand drive country, I expected there to be a roundabout whereby anyone going left would first go into the roundabout and turn left instead of just going straight left from here, because there's the opposite lane coming from there. You see, there is the lane for vehicles coming from inside. Strange. I could have avoided the queue. Anyway, it was great partly experiencing what it takes to be a continental lorry driver. A few minutes later, after returning from the terminal building, this was the situation behind me. More vehicles had arrived, waiting to board and cross the English Channel. By then, as seen on the screen, it was 5 minutes past 1 a.m. with 1 hour left to board the ferry. For the boarding here at Dunkirk, arrival at the port of Dover, and the drive home, check out the next video, which is also the last one.